business. Robust growth. China's services sector continues to expand, driven by exports and boosting employment. Transformative tech. Brain-computer interfaces, the cutting-edge technology that has the potential to help disabled people move and communicate, is being integrated into China's health insurance system. And tensions flare. Oil prices have steadied at levels near their lowest this year, but for how long? As the US and Iran trade blame over heightened tensions in the Strait of Hormuz. Welcome to Global Business here on CGTN. I'm Vivienne Nunes. China's services sector maintained robust growth in June. The private purchasing managers index reading stayed firmly in expansion territory despite a slight pullback from the previous month. The rating dogged China services PMI came in at 54.1 in June, easing from May's 54.4, but still marking the third highest reading in nearly 3 years and staying well above the 50-point threshold. New export business grew at its fastest pace this year, while employment expanded at the strongest rate since July 2024. Selling prices also returned to growth after 2 months of contraction. The composite PMI, which covers both manufacturing and services, registered 53.6 in June. It was down slightly from 54 in May, but remained in expansion territory for the 13th consecutive month. Consumption remains one of the primary engines of China's economic growth. According to multiple international institutions, the country's consumer market maintained stable operation in the first half of this year, with services consumption continuing to show solid growth momentum.
This year marks the start of the 15th five-year plan. From our observation, the focus of the entire consumer market has shifted from selling products to selling services. In terms of specific drivers, I believe there are 3 aspects. First, digitalization has eliminated the requirement for consumers to be physically present. Second, the integration of scenarios. Third, changes in market access. Policies related to the 15th five-year plan have been gradually implemented, and many measures are being taken to lower market entry barriers.
Here in Beijing, every square metre counts. Now, spaces that once went unnoticed are drawing fresh attention. The city is no stranger to world-famous landmarks, but increasingly visitors and locals alike are looking for something beyond the usual sightseeing, and they're finding it one floor up. Our reporter Yu Bo-kun takes us to the rooftops.
Everyone knows Beijing from the street. The bustle, the traffic, the crowd. But these days, more people are heading one floor up. This old bookstore has stood in central Beijing for decades. Locals drop by for coffee, reading, or a quiet break. The owner renovated a few years ago to make room for more readers.
Our bookstore was quite small. During a 2023 renovation, we added a rooftop terrace, expanding the space from 130 to 260 square meters.
Well, hidden in the Beijing's one of the busiest neighborhood, this bookstore has found an unexpected draw.
It's second-floor terrace.
The terrace now hosts reading sessions, flower arranging workshops, and small events, attracting a whole new crowd.
With the breeze outside, you feel much closer to nature.
It's definitely a different atmosphere from being inside. Sitting here and looking out at the historic buildings just feels wonderful.
Today, the rooftop is just as popular as the shelves below.
The Dongcheng government's campaign to promote terrace businesses has brought in customers who come specifically for the terraces. We've also seen more young visitors.
Beijing's famous landmarks aren't going anywhere, but what's changing now is how the city is using existing spaces, where terraces like that are giving visitors a fresh experiences and while creating new business models for local shops.
The Dongcheng district government has linked more than 300 terrace spaces along the central axis with hotels and tourist sites. Partnerships with platforms like Meituan and Ctrip are helping draw more foot traffic. From bookstores to restaurants, terraces are breathing new life into old spaces. In a city where every square meter counts, even a rooftop can become a destination in its own right. Yu Bo-kun, CGTN, Beijing.
Amid the summer peak in tourism spending, Shanghai is enhancing its cross-border consumption services ecosystem. The recent opening of a foreign currency exchange point on the basement level of Wanda Plaza in Wujiaochang, Yangpu district marks a shift from the traditional practice of concentrating such services at airports and metro stations. By placing financial services directly within major commercial hubs, this initiative aims to give new momentum to inbound tourist spending. Lei Shu-ran has more.
Hello.
Hi.
Can I help you?
Yeah, I would like to exchange.
A foreign currency exchange facility recently popped up in the basement of Wanda Plaza in Wujiaochang. Multilingual staff are on hand at all times to provide services to both local residents and international visitors.
Here you can get very good rates, and it's very convenient when you're here at the shopping mall and you're shopping. You can also exchange currency if you want.
The foreign currency exchanges counters in commercial districts are capable of providing instant assistance to international visitors encountering payment difficulties, while also delivering greater efficiency and more competitive rates.
Having foreign currency exchange counters right inside shopping malls is certainly a public-friendly measure. I am quite supportive of it, and I find it very convenient.
The counter at this location provides conversion services for more than 40 currencies, including the Thai baht, South Korean won, and Indonesian rupiah. According to the staff, the counter has been operational for just 10 days. Volume of exchange transactions this week has surged by 180% compared with the previous week.
We've actually seen a 100% year-on-year jump in foreign exchange deals at Wujiaochang. So to ride this wave, we brought in TRIP's currency exchange operation. That gives foreign visitors a complete shopping support package, and at the same time, it helps us more accurately draw in local high-net-worth travelers who are heading abroad.
Right now, Shanghai is getting a lot more foreign tourists coming in. They need to exchange money, and they often run into trouble when paying. So we've put these exchange counters right in the shopping malls. That way, we can sort out all their payment problems in one place, improve their experience, and make everything quicker, easier, and more thorough.
From January to April this year, Shanghai recorded over 3 million inbound travelers. As commercial districts serve as the primary location for shoppers, the foreign currency exchange counters within these areas can further elevate their international service standards and support Shanghai in its efforts to build a better tourist-friendly city. Lei Shu-ran, SMG International for CGTN, Shanghai.
To northwest China now, in the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region, which saw record-high cross-border traffic in the first half of this year, thanks to a surge in tourism and self-drive tours. The region's 19 open ports recorded over 2.4 million entry-exit trips, a 33% year-on-year increase, along with nearly 950,000 vehicles, trains and aircraft. Visa-free foreign arrivals jumped more than 38%, while tourism-related entries rose over 20%. Cargo throughput also grew 25%. Rail ports handled 23,000 cross-border trains, setting a new national record. Urumqi International Airport led the country in China Central Asia passenger flights, handling nearly 34% of the total. These figures underscore Xinjiang's growing role as a key gateway for China's westward opening up. China is accelerating the development of powered brain-computer interface technology, which holds the potential to help people with disabilities regain movement and speech. Promisingly, BCI-based medical services are now being integrated into the country's healthcare insurance system. Starting in 2025, provinces including Hubei, Jiangsu and Beijing, Shanghai cities have successfully introduced pricing guidelines and policy frameworks for BCI medical services. At Beijing Tiantan Hospital, the BCI consultation clinic has witnessed a steady rise in patient visits. By the end of 2025, the clinic had served over 1,600 patients through both online and offline consultations. In the foreseeable future, more citizens are expected to benefit from this transformative technology. Sichuan province is ramping up research and clinical applications of brain-computer interface technology. Our reporter Zheng Songwu has more from the provincial capital, Chengdu.
I was trying to experience how the brain-computer interface, or BCI technology, has benefited patients with neural disease, like hemiplegia or paralysis patients. The machine I would use was a robotic walker with BCI technology. The expert helped me wear a wet electroencephalogram cap that uses conductive materials to improve the connection between electrodes and the scalp for better signal quality.
它通过采集我们脑电的信号来判断我们大脑的活跃度。
It captures signals from our brain waves to determine the activity level of our brain, then decodes the motor intentions of our patients. These motor intentions bypass the patient's disabled or partially impaired limbs and are directly transmitted as commands to the lower limb exoskeleton.
The BCI machine enables patients to move smoothly, promoting the recovery of bodily functions.
想象自己在迈步，在走。
I kept imagining that I was walking, following the expert's suggestion. Then a walker helped my legs move naturally. Although as a healthy person, my knee joints and muscles were somewhat naturally working against the walker a bit when it tried to bend them. The products of the company have benefited over 10,000 patients to date. China has over 100 million mild cognitive impairment patients, and experts in West China Hospital have said most of them didn't realize until they suffered from Alzheimer's disease.
A person will wear this EEG cap, will acquire signals coming from the occipital lobe, which is the visual cortex, and there will be visual-related memory tasks. People being screened will perform these tasks, and based on the results of the screening and from the EEG acquired during this memory task, we will find digital biomarkers of MCI.
The technology in the hospital has been used to test more than 2,000 seniors in Sichuan, with an accuracy rate of 90%, and each test only took less than 15 minutes, and it can be easily used in communities. Zheng Song, CGTN, Chengdu.
The integrated application of AI is a major focus at this year's Global Digital Economy Conference. Among the key trends, physical AI and general world models have taken centre stage. Ho Jing sat down with an expert in AI world model research to explore the latest breakthroughs. Let's take a listen.
What is the most fundamental difference between world models and the large language models or video generation models we're more familiar with?
大语言模型呢，主要还是在 Large language models learn primarily from symbolic text data, natural language, machine language, or mathematical language. But world models go much further. They are designed to understand the physical world, predict how it will evolve, and ultimately guide actions within that world.
指导我们在这个物理世界里面做行动。In the global landscape of AI-generated video tools, where do Chinese players like Video currently stand?
在探索这个通用世界模型的 In terms of the architecture and conceptualization of general world models, I believe China and the US are essentially starting at the same time and exploring in parallel. In many areas, China is keeping pace with the US-China's large video models are standing at the forefront globally, and some may even outperform certain American models.
What does it take for AIGC tools like Video to move from technological edge to commercial advantage?
Large models have many favorable conditions for commercialization in China because our demand for real-world applications is very strong. Take video models. They are developing rapidly in China, and I believe that is closely linked to our advanced content production ecosystem. From AI animated series last year to AI live-action short dramas this year, and now people are paying attention to medium-length and even full-length dramas. These demands are driving our models to iterate quickly. Our scenarios give us a huge advantage.
With closer regional integration, the Guangdong, Hong Kong, Macau Greater Bay Area is emerging as a world-class hub for science and technology innovation. From research laboratories to production lines, innovation across the region is becoming increasingly connected, accelerating the journey from lab to market. Our reporter Juju has more.
The Hong Kong Shenzhen Guangzhou Innovation Cluster topped the ranking in the Global Innovation Index last year, released by the World Intellectual Property Organization. Here, collaborative innovation is turning breakthrough ideas into reality faster than ever. In Guangzhou, Kansemi Technology has become the first company in the Greater Bay Area capable of mass-producing 12-inch wafers, making a step forward in large-scale semiconductor manufacturing capacity in the region. The company now holds more than 340 patents. Executives say the company's growth is closely tied to deep collaboration between industry, universities, and research institutes, forming an increasingly integrated innovation ecosystem across the Greater Bay Area.
Before we came here, many universities in Guangdong had very limited semiconductor-related programs. As the industry developed, demand for talent increased, and universities adjusted their systems accordingly. This has helped build a stronger talent pipeline for companies like ours.
Kansemi also partnered with the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology to jointly train microelectronics talent. At the HKUST Guangzhou campus, innovation is embedded across research, education, and entrepreneurship. Its technology transfer and commercialization center is now home to around 40 startups, generating tens of millions of yuan in output value.
One Guangdong-Hong Kong joint project has developed a robot capable of fully autonomous spraying in unfinished indoor buildings. It has already been applied in more than 90 construction projects. Many high-quality research outcomes come from joint problem-solving between universities and enterprises.
Beyond advanced manufacturing, the Greater Bay Area's integrated innovation system is also enabling faster commercialization in creative and digital industries.
At last year's National Games opening ceremony, we wanted robots to perform bronze bell music. We worked with a robotics team in Shenzhen, and they helped us realize it in a very short time. Going forward, we will continue integrating advanced AI technologies into our creative production.
Today, the Greater Bay Area is home to more than 69,000 high-tech enterprises. As more research outcomes move from labs to commercial application, the region is accelerating toward its goal of becoming a global innovation and technology hub. Zhuzhu, CGTN, Guangzhou in Guangdong Province.
You're watching Global Business. When we return, tensions flare. Oil prices have steadied at levels near their lowest this year. But for how long? As the US and Iran trade blame over heightened tension in the Strait of Hormuz.
The world economy as we know it is about to change. Global business reports highlight emerging markets, developing countries, and dynamic sectors worldwide. We feature top analysts and newsmakers to provide perspectives on every facet of business. From an on-the-ground perspective, we provide you with balanced and objective assessments. Fast, sharp, and insightful. Global Business. Only on CGTN.
To some other headlines we're tracking this hour now. China plans to officially recognise 112 new occupations. The list includes digital twin engineers, embodied intelligence robot technicians and sports data analysts. This move reflects the country's rapidly evolving economy and its constant creation of new work models. In total, China has released 110 new occupations since 2019. Vietnam's second quarter GDP rose 8.39% from a year earlier, accelerating from the revised 7.94% growth in the previous quarter. The country has set a 10% growth target for 2026. However, the Statistics Authority cautioned that the Middle East conflict may affect that goal. And the Eurozone services sector saw a slower contraction in June. The S&P Global Services PMI improved to 49.4, up from 47.7 in May. Easing price pressures provided some support for the broader economy. China's Commerce Minister Wang Wentao co-hosted a key trade and investment forum with his British counterpart in London's financial district this week. Our correspondent Li Jianhua has more.
The talks lasted about 2 hours' time in the Mansion House behind me in central London. So this time it was a closed-door meeting, so you could see that both sides were approaching it rather cautiously, but the fact that they have resumed and continued the economic and trade talks here in London really matters more. It is part of a broader effort on both sides to reset their trade, or rather political relations. And yesterday, they had the Export to China event attended by hundreds of business professionals and also officials on both sides. I think the name is rather telling. It's called Export to China. Basically, Beijing's message was deliberate: sell to China, not buy from China, in the run-up to the CIIE, China International Import Expo. It's an annual event in Shanghai in October. And also, if we talk about Wang Wentao, the Chinese Commerce Minister, said that both the UK and China, they support free trade and multilateralism. If we want to know what really happened, still no, but probably we'll have more details later. But from what Peter Kyle, the UK Secretary for Trade and Business, said yesterday, he said we would like to continue the discussion over the MOUs signed in January. That could give us a flavour of what they talked about today. So the MOUs signed in January during Keir Starmer's visit to Beijing really centred on boosting exports from the UK to China, especially in the service sector where the UK is really strong. And of course, China, including Hong Kong, was the third largest trading partner for the UK, and we're looking at trade volume standing at around $108 billion in 2025, which was an increase of nearly 6% compared to that in 2024. But chief among them, the service industry, the service exports from the UK to China stood at about $28 billion. But Peter Kyle said that it was only about 40% of what the UK exported to China last year. So they would like to expand on that. And that is what the UK would like to achieve, get out of from the talks and meeting. What China wants to is stabilized trade relations with the UK, and China would like to continue its exports of manufactured products, especially green technologies and electric vehicles, to the UK. In the meantime, it's also worth mentioning that the Transport Secretary of the United Kingdom, Heidi Alexander, met the Transport Minister of China today, and yesterday she visited the railway transport hub in eastern Beijing. So we do see that they have gone beyond the trade to some sector-specific cooperation between the two countries. And of course, they do have their tensions, and the most recent and prominent one being the row over British Steel and the rejection of Mingyong Smart Energy's investment in Scotland. So this is only the beginning of the reset of their bilateral relations.
To the US now, and despite a boost from the FIFA World Cup, job data came in far below expectations. Karina Mitchell takes a closer look at the latest numbers.
Look at the details, because there was a big cooling off. Just 57,000 jobs added to non-farm payrolls in the month of June. The consensus estimate was for a rise of 113,000 jobs, so exactly half of that. Adding to that lower number is results for May, which were also revised lower, down from 172,000 to 129,000. April numbers were also revised lower. So what does it mean? Well, it means that the U.S. labor market is still stable, but it is less robust than we initially thought based on the new data that we're seeing. It's also important to look at where the hiring was, because it happened in key sectors. Healthcare and education saw a rise of 69,000 jobs, and then we saw construction also add 11,000 jobs. On the flip side, we saw retail shed 7,500 jobs. Hospitality and leisure, that is an area we expected to see growth in June, in particular because the U.S. is one of the hosts for the World Cup. Instead, we saw that sector shed 61,000 jobs. So apparently, even the World Cup couldn't bring up the numbers in that particular sector. Let's move on and look at average hourly wages, because there was some good news there for workers. We saw a rise of 0.3% month over month. Year over year, that number came in at 3.5%. That's up slightly from the previous reading of 3.4% in May. So trending in the right direction, but still not keeping pace with inflation. which is up over 4%, according to the latest CPI report. And then we need to take a look at unemployment. It actually came in a little bit. So a little bit of a juxtaposition, because you would think that if there was less hiring going on, that the unemployment rate may go up, but it actually came down from 4.3% to the lowest level since June of 2025. Part of the reason may be that we saw a drop-off in labor participation. That was down by 0.3%, which is actually a big number. It's about 700,000 people that stopped looking for work. So that may be part of the reason. So what does the Federal Reserve do with all of this? Well, it's actually, in a way, good news, because it means that there is no urgency to do anything with rates in either direction at their July meeting. And it gives the central bank a little bit of time to sit back and watch the data, because Kevin Warsh, the Fed chief, has said that he has seen signs that inflation gauges are starting to come in. So it's something that they will definitely watch and wait and see what happens.
Oil prices steadied on Friday, little changed for the week as hopes for a US-Iran peace deal kept markets in check. Brent crude futures lost about 0.5% to $71.5 a barrel as of 1300 GMT, while WTI was down 0.7% to $68, both near their lowest levels since February. Expectations of the Strait of Hormuz reopening have eased supply concerns. Meanwhile, the Trump administration is heading for a potential clash with US oil companies. ExxonMobil and Chevron are set to post quarterly profits more than triple their first quarter levels, fueled by the February oil price spike. The White House has urged the Justice Department to investigate possible price gouging, with Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent warning of administrative action if pump prices do not decline sharply. And tensions remain high between the US and Iran as they trade blame at a UN Security Council meeting over the Strait of Hormuz. Washington has accused Tehran of ignoring their memorandum of understanding by launching attacks on cargo ships.
Just 2 weeks ago, the United States signed a memorandum of understanding with Iran. Its most basic premise: the Strait's international waterways must be open. Attacks on civilian shipping must stop. And we're here today because Iran ignored that.
Iran says the continued presence of US air assets in the Strait of Hormuz endangers regional security. Tehran warns that any US interference in the strait would trigger a decisive and swift response. Iran also stresses that all tanker and commercial vessels must follow designated routes for safe passage. The dispute comes after indirect talks concluded in Doha, with the two sides failing to make significant progress on a peace deal. Iran says it remains committed to implementing its MOU with the US on the condition that Washington fulfills its obligations.
Iran is the main victim of the wars of aggression launched by the United States and Israeli regime. The role of the victims and aggressor must not be reversed. No Security Council resolution can deprive a member state of its inherent right of self-defense under the UN Charter. Iran remains fully committed to implementing the MOU, including its provisions concerning the Strait of Hormuz, provided that the United States faithfully fulfill its own obligations.
And that wraps up this edition of Global Business. I am Vivienne Nunes in Beijing. Thanks for your company.